Yeah, she's our director of communication, so much more, but she's an aspiring glass blower, and we put her in the fire these last week a couple times and made some really awesome cups. I was really impressed with your timing and just the way that you worked the glass in general. I thought was, especially considering it's been so long, nice work. But what I was thinking was that there are a few tips. There was a few things that I think that I could demonstrate that for your next attempt will make things even a little bit more smooth.
I love it. I love it.
Yep. I'm gonna a couple of things that actually I'm thinking about right now are just making sure that the paper is ready and that you're really focusing on the nice shape. When you are cooling the bottom and shaping the bottom, it's really nice to have the dexterity of your thumb and forefinger up near the top. If it's down here, it becomes a little bit more awkward to get that nice shaping on the bottom. So this, that would work fine for here, but as you're coming up, the more dexterity here. So just try to consider that for the future. Also, the bonk off, which is a very critical part. Timing, super critical, so many things. You want to have the wood paddle, try to have this prepped close to you as possible. So you'll use it probably to flatten at some point, so you'll need to bring it here, but you want to have it nice and flat and right next to the bench.
Not over the tools like you guys saw the other day. It's a lot harder to manage, especially because if it falls off of that board, as many of you guys saw what happened to me, you're having to reach farther, and it creates an even bigger window of time that your glass is cooling down exponentially fast. So that is something I'm definitely going to keep in mind for next time too.
I want to suggest the possibility. These are great. These duck-billed tweezers are really great for the stick. But they only work when there's a nice hole that you can grab on the piece itself. So you've been using the tongs, and I do that sometimes too. It's just a little bit more awkward to get a nice stick on there.
Yep.
And then the other thing with having the wood close to you is also then that allows you to be straight up and down easier. And you don't really want it hanging up off of you want it touching with a feather, just the touch of a feather, just down on it. And then when you bonk it, you're not actually pushing down. There's no weird forces on it. It's basically floating, but it is down on it. If it is up above it, even especially a couple inches, it's gonna go flying. Just like the broken glass.
Just like that broken glass that hit Leilani in the back of the head. Real quick.
Yeah, just make sure I'm not on fire, Ricky Bobby.
You're good. Although you had a piece of it in your hood. We're good.
It was just a slow burn.
Okay, we're gonna do 2 cups.
Okay.
And we're gonna do one on a fresh pipe, like you'll have to start with each time. So just the sequence of gathers is different for whether it's a moil on there or a new one. So a fresh.
Angel from Argentina says, thank you for teaching us, Chris and Julia.
All right, you know it. Yes, hello.
Welcome
Argentina. So cool. So freaking cool. All right.
You guys match in clothing. You guys are key. Very new.
One of the basic rules of gathering is that you can do 2 gathers back to back super fast. The third gather becomes you have to really set up that second gather in order to be able to take the third gather. Otherwise, it'll get floppy and out of control. But the first 2,
Happy and out of control.
you can always do back to back, and you really want to do them as quickly as possible on a fresh, brand new pipe, and keep that heat in there from the moil and to be able to get that bubble started easily.
Okay.
So depending on how hot the glass is, when you come in, it's going to be on the bottom. It's going to be kind of cold. Likely we'll have just charged some, which is exactly the case here. So you wouldn't necessarily need to heat it every time if the glass was hot enough. But since we're working on the bottom and we just threw new glass in there, quick flash. And then here, I would always suggest starting a bubble right now at this stage in it with the fresh pipe, 2 gathers. So did you see that pinch move?
Yep, pinching the glass upward off of the
Now
moil.
I'm straightening that out. And then here's the part where I want to be able to have some dexterity with my thumb. I'm kind of working that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess what race color we're in, everybody? How about now?
Beautiful bubble established.
It doesn't need much. And again, like this is the one where you have to let this set up a little bit before you can go right in. I can't, obviously I couldn't go right in. If I did, it would pull it off of there, get uneven. It would compromise the bubble inside. So
Sorry about that, slow-mo. We are learning.
The other key is also gathering as hot as you can with the right timing. And so you're familiar with the sound test. As soon as you get that kind of sounds hard and cold, then you know you're ready to go back in.
All right, guys, welcome in. We are doing a beautiful cup tutorial.
You kind of got to let it sink in a little bit on these at the bottom. The bottom is super cold, and it's kind of hard going all the way in there. And hopefully you've chilled that start bubble enough that you can sink it down in there long enough to gather up without it losing control. So you can't just go right in and start turning. You got to kind of push down. Try to get that glass all the way down up to the moil right there. So, all right, here we are. This part you've been doing like really excellent. This is probably what I was most impressed with was just the right heat and the timing and the shaping during the application of color. Been really good, but you saw you don't want to spend too much time in the color there. You want to be hot. You want to do a quick pass, but you want to try to get it all basically within a couple rotations.
Welcome in, everybody.
All right, so
Let me know where you're
this is where I've seen you taking the extra heats and just not quite shaping the bottom and the chilling and the blowing out and the dropping with the proper timing. So you can easily handle it this hot. Like that's a nice temperature for you right there to be able to control it. And it's also a really good temperature to be able to shape and prep for blowing this out. So again, what I'm going to demonstrate here is coming all the way up on the thumb and the forefinger. I'm gently just touching there, evening that out. And now I'm coming to the tip. And now that I've shaped that a little bit, I really want to cool it. I really, really want to get that nice and chilled.
Welcome in.
Now I'm letting it hang. I know I have a little bubble in there.
Right now, blazing?
And I just make sure that it's not going to blow out too thin. It's super important to touch it with the metal and chill it like that. So now I've reestablished the bubble just by blowing a little bit. I still have this nice thickness of glass right there. Even though I can't see it, I know it's pretty thick right there. And I'm continuing to chill it. What I'm really trying to do is equalize the heat in the back with the heat in the front so that the tip doesn't have all the heat. And because when you're blowing into it, it'll go where the heat is. And if it gets too thin on the bottom, then you're in trouble, especially on this flip part and then for the break off. So again, this is a really nice controllable heat. You've been coming in and out of the bench room nice, but I'm gonna have you help me blow, and because this is where you can really improve the timing. So before you blow, I'm gonna be on the bottom on this first blow, and then I'm gonna say blow hard, and so instead of blowing out the bottom, it's gonna puff out the shoulder. Stop. So now I've got more. I've still got all the ice down there, but it's blown out and nice thin there. It's gonna make for a better jack line because it's not too thick. It'll be less likely to close it off by squeezing too hard because it blew out there and it's not too
You
thick.
guys would be doing
But the main thing that I wanted you to really understand there is getting onto the bottom real quick and then having your assistant blow when you're on the very bottom.
Although,
Yeah, says you've been a lot like this up here and not so much just that quick right on the tip like that. So when
all right, guys.
when they first blow
have
for
to
you,
say this.
you want to be on the bottom like that.
These guys
Yep.
are professionals, and please do not attempt this at home without proper training or proper equipment. Stay safe, stay stony, my friends. And as always, make sure you guys are spamming that like button. Subscribe to our notifications so you don't miss a beat. And share this live to your friends, guys.
Okay, so the flattening part. I started the jack line. It probably would have done. You could easily have done that all in that last heat.
So
I was
this
just kind of
process
talking
is
a little bit.
on the slower
But,
side because we are doing step-by-step instructions.
So it's best not to have it kind of squished like that. So if you want a nice, good break off, this allows, when you do that move there, it allows this to cool down just a little bit more. Then, you're just flattening the bottom.
Thank you, Angel. We appreciate
And
it so much.
I actually squished it a little bit when I did that bottom. And so I'm going to go back here and just creating that little bit of space there really allows it to cool down a lot faster, a lot easier. And so I've purposely left this nice big hole up top, and which should make for a nice easy break off. And then you'll have your assistant helping with this part, but this is how I do it when I'm by myself. I want to use these duckbill tweezers because they have more purchase on the piece when you grab it, and it's much easier to control. But you need to heat it up so that you can grab it. And yeah, and when you do that move, it's just a nice, gentle, mostly just pushing away rather than trying to push down. Yep.
Outward.
Yep.
Kind of like a kia instead of a kia.
Wow, I've never heard it described so perfectly. Hiya!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kia. Yeah.
I just came back from Texas and they were all like, hiya! Down there.
So
this is where you're really just establishing a lot of that heat in the shoulder and then the lip.
Yeah. When you leave a nice big hole too like that, like I had, then it actually allows you to do this in one heat instead of worrying about having to close up too much, going over there and doing that. So there's a lot of benefits to keeping that hole nice and a decent size. And that all starts with that first blow. When you're chilling the bottom and you're blowing out that shoulder, because it allows it to get a little bit thinner there and then to keep it a nice bigger hole. Okay, so I heated the lip and I stayed off of the back, but then at the very last second, nice deep flash. If you're working on your own, you can just touch it by yourself there. And then it's got so much heat in there that...
you're also angling your jacks upwards a little bit, like towards the tip.
Yeah.
I gotcha. And then slowly widening the jacks as well.
Yeah. And then I have been concerned a couple times that you've been going in and heating it up and coming right over to the thing with a little too much heat. They've worked out good. Yeah, they worked out good. But this heat, you don't want it so hot that it's hot enough to move. That's more of just a quick flash.
So instead of would you say instead of 7 seconds, more like a 3 to 4 second flash?
Yes. I like to use these to help with the bottom. I can pinch there. And now I know that it's nice and set up. It's a little bit off of there. I also know that it was super thick on the bottom. Like, I don't really have to worry so much about that one having a perfect, like, water and everything. When it's done with the right timing and the right thickness, then everything just becomes a little bit quicker.
Flashing the lip.
Yeah. We've got this really nice opportunity. Can you hand me, what stamp is that?
Special K glass type.
A little one. Huh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, baby.
All right, so now it's got the cool little K stamp in there. Grab low where it's still nice and thick. All right. Woo! One down, one to go.
I'm going to be watching this live back a few times.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video on it now.
Okay, so you in a situation like this, you'd figure out how much glass, how big you want the piece to be. I believe that the best opportunity for me is to do one big gather.
One big gather.
One big gather. So there's already a little hole right there. It's basically clear, I think. And so I am just, it was clear. I tested it. Even if it wasn't, I know that how big the jack line was, how big the hole was. It just left airflow in there. And that's the main thing for starting an easy bubble. Yep.
Thank you for coming
So
in, Sam.
if you were to do two gathers, you would take the first one kind of small in this situation, and you would start a bubble in that. But since we have a nice, decent moil, the glass is kind of cold, I'm going to do this all in one. So this is good because we'll demonstrate, we'll put the color on before we start the bubble. We're going to go all the way in, start turning, come up, grip that off of there.
That's how you get a nice big gather on the first go.
Now,
yeah. The color from
because I can here. And I'm just using gravity to let it fall off of the pipe, which is important in this situation.
And as you can see,
level,
as he is applying that color, he's also using the color to shape the piece.
So even in that situation with chilling it and shaping it with the color, the tip is just going to be way hotter than the moil. And the moil right now is pretty thick, pretty cold. So I really need to sink a lot of heat into it. And my main priority is going to be getting over there with a paper and squeezing that off, thumb and forefinger. And it doesn't have to be a lot of pressure over there, but it has to be, you got to have like some dexterity with the,
sure you hit that
so you can use your thumb and forefinger to exert just the right pressure. And you start out pretty soft. You got to make sure it's a little bit watered over there too. Otherwise, if it's too dry, it'll stick right away, and then it'll throw everything off. You need it to just be able to glide on there. So
it is really good at explaining.
Putting as much heat in there as possible.
But where it really counts is how you show.
Maybe just let it fall back on itself a little bit. Come in here. Just dip the tips of that right there, and then nice and easy, just push that off of there. Once I've done that little move, then I straighten the back, and then I come right to the front. Once I'm on the front, you can see how much hotter it is just based off of the glow of the heat on there. And so all I'm trying to do is just chill that. There's no way to get them equal heat right now, but at least I'm letting it hang. I'm going to start that little bubble. I don't want to blow too hard.
Yeah.
I don't want to blow out through the heat on the bottom of that. So now this is the one move where I've blown into the shoulder. You saw how much effort I put into chilling the bottom and shaping it in a way that it can't blow out and too thin. But here is the teamwork part where you're going to have your assistant. So you get that nice heat in there, and then basically kind of letting it start to hang a little bit, and then I'm just going on the see how I'm right on the bottom, Leilani?
Yep.
Okay, blow. And see how I'm staying on it when she blows off? So now I know that there's a good amount of thickness on the bottom. I started with the paper to get the initial shape, and then as you were blowing, I was using the tag the whole time, right on the bottom. And that kept this. That means that this was going to get wider, thinner up here. If it gets thinner, it's more nice. It's just nicer for the cup, but it also allows it to cool down faster and come off easier off of the pipe. Yep. So that at least one time with your assistant, they're blowing and you're on the bottom while they're blowing. Once that's initially done, then you can. Before I blow every time though, I'm gonna make sure that I chill that, and then I can blow. I've started the jack line, so I'm just gonna do a quick flattening, and then I'll come back on here. If I go just like that, it condenses it. So then I want to use the blades like that to kind of push it off a little bit. I love using the diamond shears to finish that. And really, more than anything, it's visually just seeing that white line that's created from those chill marks. So come right here, just barely touch down. I get that MAP gas going. I get these warmed up.
So you're holding it in place with those duckbill tweezers, but you're also simultaneously heating it up.
Yes. Okay, that's about to slip off of there. Super sketch. I almost wasn't able to grab that. And I had to push a little bit harder than normal to get that on there. It wasn't that hot. I kind of rushed that. Maybe lost my focus a little bit. But, so one of the things to be super cautious of when you have that type of attachment is when you're opening it up with the jacks, that you're not pushing down, which is super tempting on a couple different, if you're on the outside and you're trying to straighten the sides, there's this tendency to push down, and you can push it right off of there. You saw that with me yesterday, Friday with the goblet.
Yeah.
So this one, probably not going to get it perfectly with just one heat. I'm just going to go ahead and say 2 heats on this one because it was a little bit smaller of an opening. I don't want to risk it closing or having to push too hard. So I'm going to start, if you can tap that real fast before you go in to open it, it really makes a big difference on keeping it flat up there. Just a little tap when it's super hot, and then it's mostly going to be good the whole time.
Hello, welcome in, everybody.
So once you've done those little moves using one blade to open it up, I mean, now I'm in just really good shape to finish this in this heat.
Gavin's here.
I like to go on the outside just a little bit just to get everything ready. And then before I rip it open, I'm actually just going to make sure it's flat one more time. And then I always like to do a little bit of an outside move. There you go. So we'll do a quick flash, and then we'll use the straight shears to do the jack line. But basically, here I don't want it moving around. I really just go in. This one maybe closer to like the 7-second flash. I guess that was more like 4 or 5. So right now it would actually squish. It's so hot up there, but this, when you're doing this, you will have a chance for it to cool up just a little bit. And if it is hot, you can still actually bonk it straight up and down and not worry about squishing it if it's still a little bit hot. Like to flatten it. I like to flip it over, check to see that it's nice and flat. I like to make sure I get that lip real good. And then since we want it to match the other one, we're going to go ahead and put the special case stamp on the inside. Classic.
Grab it down by the base.
Yep. So I will be super excited to see your next attempt tomorrow, Wednesday. Chris, you guys can use this bench.
Oh,
Yep.
we're gonna see if we can do this one better. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'll go ahead and grab the mic. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning for our live glass blowing demonstration. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. I know I'm going to be watching it back a few more times before Wednesday, so check back in on Wednesday and see if I've absorbed all the information that the Bogfather has laid down and demonstrated before us today. I want you guys to know that we appreciate every single one of you for showing up today. We love you so much, and I hope you guys stay safe, stay stony, stay hydrated, and peace out, my home skillet biscuits.
And buy our bongs, motherfucker.